Gold finally dips, making everyone wonder, is it finally Bitcoin's turn to take off? We've all been talking about the lag between gold and Bitcoin price movements, but an interesting report came out from Bitwise showing that only a small amount of money from gold finding its way into Bitcoin sends it to $242,000 per coin. Is it finally here, guys? Are we finally being saved? Is October finally back? Well, we'll break it all down in today's show. But before we get there, let's hear what Bloomberg had to say last night.
As of mid-October 2025, gold has surged past $4,200 per ounce, marking a new all-time high and generating an approximate 60% gain year-to-date. Bitcoin, meanwhile, recently hit approximately $126,000 before a brief pullback, building on its earlier 2025 peaks above $100,000. These simultaneous records aren't coincidental. They reflect a unified investor response to macroeconomic headwinds, with the two assets increasingly moving in sync and correlations now at 0.85, nearing the historical peak. With Bitcoin and gold both rallying into uncharted territory, it could be signaling a warning about eroding trust in traditional systems. A few areas of concern are fiat displacement and inflation, geopolitical and policy uncertainty, and capital rotation with institutional shifts. Central banks are hoarding physical gold at record rates, not for profit, but as insurance against US dollar dominance and sanctions. Bitcoin fits as a private reserve counterparty. October volatility, fueled by US government shutdown risk, escalating global tensions, and the Fed easing into potential stagflation has contributed to Bitcoin and gold finding a bid. Gold outperformance versus Bitcoin has overweighted portfolios, priming a rebalance. Analysts expect flows to rotate into Bitcoin for its higher beta. Gold's strength hints at a hard asset awakening, while Bitcoin continues its maturation from speculative vehicle to legitimate store of value.
All right, guys. So my first take on this is like, man, if Bloomberg's saying this, then maybe it's over. Maybe we're cooked, guys. Let's be honest here. Of course, I'm here with Bloomberg. Yeah, reverse Bloomberg. Yo, Kramer is actually I'm not gonna say it because
I'm done with Kramer.
Yeah, Kramer is trash. Anyway, Sophie's here filling in again. You know, she's back putting in the work with me. Anyways, guys, let's get into this a little bit. So we are seeing an interesting thing happen right now. Of course, you guys probably are saying, man, Opti's a broken record. He's been covering gold so much. Like, what is this? Simply gold now? Well, yes and no. The reason I've been covering gold again, my thesis on this is exactly the end of what that Bloomberg video was saying. We are seeing this transition into a, quote, like hard money future, where people are moving away from treasuries, they're moving away from fiat currencies, they're seeing there's trouble in the system, and they're trying to position themselves for what is potentially on the horizon. Of course, the first mover in all of this is usually gold. We've been covering the all-time highs in gold. It's really one of those scenarios, like I've been saying, where it should make you feel uncomfortable seeing gold rip like this. Seeing gold go parabolic makes me feel not as happy as everyone. I know everyone's chasing gains right now, but seeing gold do what it's doing from a Bitcoiner's perspective, from someone that isn't really that trustful of the stability of the traditional financial system, to me, this is a warning sign. This is red flags. This is red alert of something going on that we can't fully explain yet. Obviously, we can speculate what that is, and that's what we've been doing. I think what we are seeing is exactly that. The debasement trade is catching on, and people are moving to hard currencies or hard assets. And of course, there's really only two hard assets. It's gold and Bitcoin. Now, gold has the 5,000-year track record on Bitcoin, and that's usually why people kind of, put Bitcoin aside. They're like, oh, it's too new. It's too much of a speculation. And I'm going to bring back an old Jack Mallers clip on this. And when he was arguing Peter Schiff on why Bitcoin is better than gold. It's an old clip, but I think it's fitting.
It's an oldie, but a goodie.
Yeah, it's an oldie, but yeah, but I feel it's fitting for today. Anyways, let's get into what's going on in the gold markets today, which is very interesting. So first, I'm going to start with our boy Croesus, aka Jesse Meyer, and he has the Bitcoin chart. I could show you the Bitcoin price in gold chart here, but it looks exactly like this. I definitely verified this. And Jesse Meyer goes, Bitcoin price divided by ounce of gold price. Some people think the Bitcoin bull market is over. it looks to me like it hasn't even started yet. I'm on the side of we're still going up, guys. We are still going up. I know there is the October meme is kind of like, let's be honest, it's not really working out as good as we thought it was going to be.
Bitcoin's always going to do the exact opposite of what everyone says. Like,
100%.
I cannot believe we haven't learned that yet. We thought we could predict the cycles and that the price because October and November and whatever. Like, guys, the reality is nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah, and I think now is even like more so uncharted territory. Even Bloomberg saying that. And I'm not here to be like, oh, Bloomberg knows exactly what they're talking about. I do think they have a fiat bent, but I think they're right on the money. None of us know exactly what's going on, especially when you see gold rip to where it is and where Bitcoin is.
I mean, I don't even think that people are really going into gold as a hedge because it's hard money or whatever. I just think people are chasing, it's FOMO. They're chasing the gains. And regardless of what's happening, when people go into gold, Bitcoin tends to follow. So that's the real signal here. Like, if we're really like looking at the price action, if we're really being the macro analyst that we're not here, that's kind of the signal. If gold, I like what Chef Tommy said here. Gold has failed many times in the past, and it's back. It's at an all-time high. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody wants gold, even though they have nothing to actually do with the shiny rock.
Yeah, we're gonna play that Jack Mallers clip, which breaks it all down. But okay, let's dive into this a little more. So, obviously, we've been seeing gold on a tear, and it's basically, if I remember correctly, my numbers are a little off because of the correction, but I think gold added like $16 trillion to its market cap this year. And every kind of, slight percentage move in gold, it's losing trillions of dollars. And I think this 5% correction we're seeing, I'm pretty sure the number was like $1.5 trillion that it lost. Anyways, let's go over here. So I'm not chart boying here, guys, even though it does show my chart boying. Hold on, it refreshed. So I wanted to get the current price here. So the current gold price, since we are talking about gold, is 4,120. And again, I don't mean to chart boy on you guys, but let's
what do you have against chart boys?
It's because chart boying is like, dude, it's tea leaves for men. So
yeah,
that's the whole thing on chart boying. Everyone loves to draw some lines. They forget that they're imaginary lines, so I don't mean to chart boy too much, but I do want to show you that the gold correction is happening. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because of the Bitwise report that they just dropped. Now, I'm not saying there is a connection here. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm choking on my saliva over here. Anyways, I do think that it is fitting that we saw gold correct 5%. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is obviously for two reasons here. One, this is a bigger correction than what we saw the other day. A lot of people are saying that gold's double topped. I don't necessarily think it's double topping right now, but this is a significant move in gold right now. So if this is finally the point where we see people kind of rolling over their gold profits into Bitcoin, this is where things get absolutely interesting, because we saw this report from Bitwise drop, and they basically said, hey, a small amount of the gold market cap finding its way into Bitcoin means huge gains for Bitcoin. And we're not the only ones catching on this. I actually saw an Alex Jones post about the gold markets yesterday. So everyone seems to be signaling the same thing. What we're seeing with gold is very interesting, and you should be watching it, because this gold rally right now does seem different. It is a different time in kind of the traditional markets right now. And as we saw with central banks right now, they are moving away from treasuries and they're starting to hold gold. So gold has essentially made a major move as becoming the world reserve asset right now. I know dollar's still going to be the world reserve currency, but gold, as of now, is kind of becoming the world reserve asset here. It is becoming the kind of store of value for the central banks, because there is so much uncertainty in fiat currencies. You're seeing the trade wars. And so what do? They're like, we got to acquire as much gold as possible right now. So I think this is what the move is. Now, the real kind of breaking point is going to be, are these central banks or these institutions eventually going to see the gold price get too high and be like, okay, at this point, I think this rally is getting a little overheated. We got to roll some of these profits over. And if that does find its way into Bitcoin, obviously there is a kind of, we've been talking about this like 90 to 100 day delay from the gold price going up to the Bitcoin price going up. I think we're starting to kind of get into that same scenario, but this is what Bitwise said this morning, or rather, I think it was last night. And they said Bitcoin is selling off at the exact moment when macro conditions are turning in its favor. With banking stress rising, Fed easing expectations firming, and risk appetite poised to recover, our latest note shows why downside looks exhausted and why a rotation back into crypto, really Bitcoin, may be closer than consensus thinks. And they have this chart here, guys. And this is where it starts to get bullish. And the chat's like, okay, Opti's bullish again. All right. Either, what do you always call it, Sophie? The inverse Opti. So we're either going to dump.
I'm so scared right now.
We're pumping right here. But anyways, let's break this chart down for the audio listeners. So it goes, only a small percentage of capital rotation from gold is needed for BTC to double from here. Bitcoin price versus hypothetical prices from gold with the Bitcoin rotation. And so we're currently at 107. Actually, this morning we're at like 113 currently, but a 1% rollover from gold into Bitcoin would take Bitcoin to $134,000. I'll take that. Hey, maybe that's soon.
I have a question. If gold right now really is a hedge, for all intents and purposes to like be a backup or a store of wealth and value, why isn't the US accumulating gold? Or better said, why aren't there reports of that?
Well, I think they were kind of ahead of this.
We supposedly have the biggest reserve, but
yeah, no, not just that.
Apparently, China just discovered the world's largest mine.
I saw that.
So could it be possible, me just thinking out loud here, could it be possible that the US is moving their store value from gold to Bitcoin? And that's why, they're starting the strategic Bitcoin reserve. They've seized billions of dollars of Bitcoin, and that I don't think they plan on giving back to the victims. And if they do, they will give them fiat. I don't know. I just think it's strange because if everyone else is buying gold, why isn't the US doing it?
Well, I mean, first of all, we have the most gold, but we've also been repatriating gold. So like a lot of countries have been trying to get their gold reserves, and the US is basically telling them to fuck off. Like we saw that happen months ago, way before we saw the gold price start ripping. So I think it's one of those things where we kind of hold a huge amount of, well, also like the Fort Knox audit, like whatever happened to that.
That's never going to happen.
That's
literally never going to happen. And again, that's why I'm saying I feel like the US is trying to get ahead of this and start positioning Bitcoin to be in the center stage and to be the preferred reserve asset. I don't think that we'll see that this year, but I think that we are starting to see moves being made so that is the new reality that we move into with the future of global reserves.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I do like this comment in the chat by Ted Paulus, and he goes, US Gov not buying gold because it would show they don't have, or they too don't have confidence in their own monetary system, their bonds. And that sounds pretty reasonable to me. I think that's kind of some signal here. Anyways, so let's get back to this chart here, guys, because this is where it starts getting fun. So if 2% of the gold market cap rotates into Bitcoin, we get to, what is this, $161,300 Bitcoin. If 3% go, it's 188,000 Bitcoin. If 4% from gold market cap finds its way into Bitcoin, that's a $215,000 per coin. And if we get this 5% correct or rollover from gold into Bitcoin, it's going to go to $242,000 per Bitcoin. Now, I like big number, and the reason I'm bringing that up is obviously, like, it does seem kind of like a simulation here. Bitcoin or gold corrects 5%. Bitwise drops this report of, hey, a 5% rollover into Bitcoin means 242K Bitcoin. The Bitcoin price is going up. I'm not saying they're connected. I'm not saying that 5% correction is what's headed its way into Bitcoin, but it is interesting just how little capital from gold has to go into Bitcoin to really pump Bitcoin to the numbers that we've been waiting for all year. And I know Bitwise has been extremely bullish on Bitcoin, though they are getting a little shitcoinery right now. So like, we'll have to hold their feet to that fire. But we have been saying for a while, and I've actually been saying this for like over a year. It's just, my gut's telling me that Bitcoin is going to go into 200K. With this Uptober right now, it's not making me feel that good. I was looking at the numbers yesterday. I'd actually here. Let me double check right now. Just to
why don't we pull up this chart that I sent you?
I got that. I got that. I'm gonna pull that up in a minute. Okay. They might be using CoinGlass might be using AWS. So AWS. Oh, here we go. Okay. So current Q4 numbers. Oh, man. Current Q4. We're almost back, guys. Current Q4 numbers for Bitcoin. We are currently at a negative 0.14%. Yeah. So October has been brutal. Let me go down here in the bottom and we'll see some numbers. So yeah, October currently at negative 0.14%. It's been a rough start of the month, but we'll see what happens. We still have 9 days left. Anything can happen in 9 days here, Selfie. But yeah, so again, I'm not connecting the gold correction of 5% and, straight saying that 5% has found its way into Bitcoin. But the numbers are interesting. We did see gold correct 5%. We are starting to see Bitcoin rip. I mean, 113 is not necessarily ripping, but if that 5% of gold does end up into Bitcoin, 242K per Bitcoin, 200K Bitcoin still in play, guys. I'm sure even if that 5% was trying to find a new home, I'm guessing all of that capital won't find its way into Bitcoin, but a small portion of that will most likely find its way into Bitcoin. And I think all of these kind of factors happening in the same, in the same moment are really telling you a lot about what's going on. A lot of people are looking at gold. It's going all-time high. They're probably getting a little nervous about when's the top going to happen. Is this the top? They're rolling over some of their profits into Bitcoin, or rather in other assets right now. One of them, of course, is Bitcoin. And everyone has been sharing this chart. Now, this might be some chart crime here, Sophie. I'm not going to lie. This might be some chart crime. But, hey, I do like some hopium, and everyone's like, is Opti going to be...
Listen, we're just recognizing patterns. It's
Don't say it.
This is just what the past has shown. And we can learn a lot. I mean, again, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So it is good to kind of look back and see how gold's behavior has affected, maybe indirectly, the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. So let me pull up the chart. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Yes, it is kind of some chart crime, and we are cherry picking here. But it is a kind of overlay map of the gold price, or the gold top in 2020, and the Bitcoin price in 2020. And right when gold topped out, Bitcoin went parabolic. It went from 8,000-ish, 9,000 to over 40K. And gold was at about $2,100 per ounce. And currently, if this is the gold top, again, we are going to see some kind of rollover from gold going into Bitcoin. Again, gold bugs, as much as we kind of, give them shit as Bitcoiners, they're the unks in the hard money game. They've been around for a while. They've been, talking about a lot of the things we talk about. They're the big unk out here. They're our unk that's been holding it down for the hard money game. They just don't get the technology.
Say unk one more time.
Yeah, unks. Well, I'm an unk now. I'm getting old. I'm unk now. This is crazy, Sophie. But yeah, they're the hard money unks. Okay, and if this is the gold top, and, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. If this is, again, the gold top, and Bitcoin is bottoming out right now, again, this chart right here is saying in the 200K by end of year. So very bullish orange Christmas here, Sophie. you know, please, if you can hear me, the whales out there, can you start pumping Bitcoin? So Alex tweets, he goes, this chart is making the round. I wasn't aware of this. Only heard about the fluctuating Bitcoin gold ratio from an old friend who is a gold investor. And then he kind of goes into his reasoning of what's going on. And so he goes, I'm still of the view that would have been a great day to rotate. You know, obviously, if you could trade the absolute top, and he's still on the idea that Bitcoin will outperform gold. Hey, we might be seeing this right now. It's all I'm saying. If we continue to see the gold price to going down and the Bitcoin price going up, I think it's a safe bet to say that we're seeing that rollover happen. And again, the math is very simple. It's not that much capital that has to find its way into Bitcoin to make it rip to 200K. And again, if we've seen anything with the gold market cap that is extremely bullish for us Bitcoiners, is that one, Bitcoin's a $2 trillion asset. Gold's a $20 trillion. Well, actually, now it's way higher than 20 trillion. I think last I saw was like 36 trillion.
Woo!
It added like 16 trillion.
God.
So if you think Bitcoin can't add trillions of dollars to its market cap, I know we've been talking about for a while, and it's kind of a recent meme that like, oh, Bitcoin's market cap's bigger. That means that more capital has to find its way into Bitcoin. And the moves going up from here is a lot harder because more capital's coming in. If we've seen anything from gold, I think it disproves that, hey, a lot of capital can find its way into Bitcoin and make the price of Bitcoin rip. So look,
hey,
hopium for today.
What's that thing that they're apparently doing at the Fed at the end of the month? Apparently, maybe.
Yeah.
Print it up. You got to print it up.
And actually, they've been talking about that we saw a 25 bit cut. It seems like they're going to go for a 50-bit cut. Ooh. And it seems like they're going to do 2. That seems to be most of the conversation right now. Ooh. So 100 bips cut by end of year. I don't know. The easy money is flowing. It looks like QT is dead. I know they're not calling it a quantitative easing right now, but it does look like they're going to expand their balance sheet. So one more chart crime for you guys here. This one is kind of by a shit corner, though. It's Mr. Crypto, but I like the chart, whatever. And he goes, Bitcoin has been lagging behind gold.
I like the chart when it says the things that I want it to say.
Guys, I'm very honest here. I confirm my biases. I only trust the science if it confirms my biases. Okay, guys? So I only trust the math when it agrees with what I already want it to say. Okay, so look, I know my flaws. Anyways, he goes, Bitcoin has been lagging behind gold now once again, but this is not new. This always happens. Expecting this trend to reverse soon. Here we go. You know, Bitcoin lags. I'm actually so colorblind. Which one's Bitcoin is here? Wait, am I? Is Bitcoin the top one?
Hold on.
That one looks. Is it orange?
Bitcoin is the top one. It's the top one.
Okay. Bitcoin's the top one. Is that green? I think it's green. I don't know.
Dude, that's orange.
It's orange. Okay.
It's orange, and the bottom one in the yellow.
It's yellow.
Is gold.
I can tell the yellow one. Okay. And you can see, look, it's happened in the past. Bitcoin runs, gold kind of does its thing. Eventually, gold kind of does its run, and Bitcoin goes down. Similar, continuous pattern. But this recent pattern is where it gets super interesting. Gold's going absolutely parabolic. Bitcoin's kind of been going sideways. It has been dumping the last couple of weeks. But if this is the most recent bottom out here, and then now it's Bitcoin's turn to run,
it kind of looks like the one the first part where they intersect, right? Like the first spots here. It kind of looks in that, because if you notice in the other two, they don't touch at all. So what does that mean? Does that mean numbers gonna go ripping through the roof?
I mean, I hope so.
Gosh, me too.
I hope so. Well, look, we obviously don't know exactly what these gold investors are thinking. We do know one thing, though, and it's that treasuries are no longer what people want to hold. And if we are seeing kind of the risk on appetite start to increase, as we've been seeing with a lot of the gambling and leveraging that's been happening, because people aren't making that much money, then they start to go to riskier and riskier bets, which really should be the opposite. Is like,
yeah, but actually, oh my God, I saw this meme. I wish I had sent it to you. And it's literally people it's a phase 1, phase 2, phase whatever, and the phase 1 is gold, phase 2 is Bitcoin, phase 3 is Ethereum, phase 4 is like all the other altcoins. And the tweet was like, people don't realize we're still in phase 1. And really, maybe that is the nature of the cycle. Maybe this whole time we've had it all wrong. Maybe it has almost nothing to do with the halving and more to do with, you know, the printing of money and the moving into hard assets in the order of gold to Bitcoin.
Sorry, Sophie. Sorry, I General Man just tuned out the woman. I was looking at the chat. I am sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Opti just never listens to me.
I'm so sorry, but I was looking at the chat and it goes Opti fudge so people can sell their bags so you can buy it for pennies on the sats.
I think, sir, you are confusing Opti with Mr. Larry Uncle Fink.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Sorry. I'm getting crazy over here on the mothership. I'm not fudding, dude. He also out here calling me a fake maxi again. Don't be a fake dude. I'm a fake maxi. I guess.
People still call each other fake maxis? Actually?
I just got called one. I
thought that was like so 2017. Like,
no,
I thought we were over that.
Well, we have purity spiraled, but no, I'm
Wait, that's a signal.
What?
Bull run's coming.
Purity spiraling?
Well, no, because maxis are always right. So, you know, we're kind of due for one of those.
Yeah, so it's just what a dick. All right, sorry guys. I apologize. It's, you know, whatever. I'm not gonna get canceled over it.
Listen, guys, it's only Tuesday. You got to ride with us all the way to Friday. So
yeah, exactly. Someone says, yeah, you don't realize we're still in phase 0 on 10 of 10. Okay.
So,
wait, say that again. Say that again to me. Sorry, Soph, and I'll listen this time.
We know we're still early, basically. That I saw this meme that said, you know, people don't realize that we're still in phase 1, and phase 1 was gold, phase 2 was Bitcoin, phase 3 and everything else were the altcoins. Maybe that is actually how these cycles are running. You know, the money gets printed, it moves into gold because people stop losing faith in fiat, and now all of a sudden we have hard money going into gold, then gold goes into Bitcoin. That chart that we just saw kind of proves that, and then everybody takes their earnings and gambles on the altcoin market.
Yeah, it sounds about right. It sounds like a shitcoiner probably did that chart too, but you know.
No, 100%. It was I think that's probably why I didn't send it to you, but I still think it's interesting to view it in the lens of like, this is how we're moving through the hard money or whatever.
Yeah. There's comment in the chat. Don't read it, but Benjamin, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had to give her the talk before the show. I did have to give her the talk like you're speaking to a principal or something. She's like, I was unhinged to the principal anyways. I'm like, oh man, we're cut.
Yeah, I was terrible. Oh god.
But yeah,
I just don't have a filter, okay? It's very difficult.
We've noticed.
People probably think that when I talk, I'm like 40 IQ. I was gonna say something else.
42 IQ.
But it's really just because I am thinking every single word that has to come out of my mouth.
Standard.
With a filter.
But no, back to your point. I know we're kind of unhinged today, but back to your point. I think it is directionally correct. I've been saying that for a while. A lot of people that have been in, you know, the game for a while, a lot of gold bugs or maybe just, you know, older investors, they go into just what they're comfortable with, which is obviously gold. They're used to it. They understand the properties of gold. And so if they do see problems, if they do see concerning signals, then they do go into gold. I generally look at gold as like a stepping stone. You know, I love wearing a gold necklace. I'm not out here thinking that gold's, you know, they're gonna remonetize gold and the you know, the whole internet world is going to be built on gold. That just makes no sense to me. But I do think that we are seeing a transition from fiat currencies into hard monies, or, you know, hard assets or hard currencies, however you want it. Hard monies is probably the best way to explain it. And then eventually they will get into Bitcoin. Obviously, we do need to see kind of like the price to go up higher than gold so that people chase the price of Bitcoin. And if gold's crashing at the same time, then they're obviously going to start to look at this Bitcoin thing, especially if they're basically losing wealth in real terms compared to the inflation that's potentially on the sideline. So I think directionally that is correct, Sophie. I think 100% that's probably what's going on. Anyways, guys, I do have a lot to share with you guys today. So later in the show, I am going to play, it's kind of a throwback, Jack Mallers' debate with Peter Schiff. Since I've been talking about gold so much, I thought it fitting to kind of bring back one of the oldies but goodies, dusted off the shelf here. And then in the news, actually, oh yeah, we saw a bunch of interesting Bitcoin moves yesterday and the day before. Actually, yesterday and today. And it's really making everyone wonder, like, what exactly is going on. And then in the culture, we're going to talk about the AWS stuff that happened yesterday because, dude, it was...
We all got rugged on that.
Yeah, the internet was horrible everywhere. All internet services were cooked yesterday, and then there's a parallel to Bitcoin. So that's what today's show will be. Of course, I do want to remind you guys to smash the like button, comment on the show, let us know what you think about the show, and of course, hit the subscribe button if you love Sophie over here. If you love her, she's dropping content, of course. Rustin, Dante, Ocean, we drop the most content, the best content on YouTube, Bitcoin only content, and of course, got to plug the boys over at Bitcoin Well. If you are in the market to buy some Bitcoin, make sure you are buying real Bitcoin. Make sure you are using exchanges that can never lose your Bitcoin. And this is why we love Bitcoin Well, because once your dollars go through, or your, I don't know, Canadian moose shekels or whatever they call them up there, once they go through, then you get Bitcoin sent directly to your cold storage. They never hold your Bitcoin. They will never lose your Bitcoin because, again, they never control that Bitcoin. Once the money goes through, they send it directly to your cold storage. It does mean you need to have a Bitcoin wallet to use Bitcoin Well. One extra step, but that extra step can protect you and your family and your generational wealth. So scan the QR code, and of course, use the promo code SimplyBTC. And when you scan the QR code, you will get 3 chances to win 1 million sats, which is what, about $1,130 today or something like that. And of course, if you're sitting on the sideline with a lot of fiat money, make sure you get in touch with the Bitcoin Well Infinite team, and they will help you buy $50,000 of Bitcoin or more. All right, guys, after this commercial break, we'll be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, StampSeed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? StampSeed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates. Instead of just writing them down on paper, paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo, and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on StampSeed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
All righty then, guys. Oops.
That's cooking us.
I know, I'm getting cooked today. No, I'm not growing my weave. I am thinking about growing it out a little bit though, but thanks for noticing. Anyway.
No, this one's
simply go. I know, dude. I look. I said it. I already said it, man. Yeah. Hey, we're watching what's going on in the gold markets again. The reason I've been talking about a lot of this stuff, and actually, it's a good segue for the clip today. And I will give you the numbers as well. But the reason I've been talking about gold so much is because, one, it is a hard money. We are kind of its little brother here, a little cousin, maybe ugly redheaded stepchild over here, but we are both in the hard money game. And if you see gold rip, it's telling you a lot about investor psychology and what they're thinking. If everyone is panicking from like away from treasuries, we're seeing the debasement trade become a new hot meme, and we're seeing gold rip. It's telling you a lot about what the psychology of investors are, what they're thinking by just looking at the price action. Remember, this is why I always say that the price of Bitcoin, as much as everyone likes to say it's the least important, metric of Bitcoin, to me, it's the most important metric of Bitcoin, because it tells you what people are thinking about Bitcoin in the current moment. Yes, there might be a delay, et cetera, and there's hype and FOMO and all that. But the price of things in a market is signal, guys. I feel like I don't need to repeat that. Anyways, the current Bitcoin price is, we dumped a little bit, 111,940. We have a negative 11.3% decline from all-time high. The market cap is at $2.23 trillion, and the current block height, TikTok next block, is currently at 920,138. Okay, guys.
We should have a segment in the numbers where I literally just let you know, based on the price of Bitcoin, if you can buy that thing you want today or not.
Yeah.
And today
is
not that day. You can't buy that thing today.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a Nico's wife segment.
Yeah, you should actually
the girlfriend wife segment.
Guys, share the show with your wives. Share the show with your girlfriends. Let them know.
They don't have girlfriends. I don't have a girlfriend. We don't have girlfriends here, Sophie.
I forgot.
Wow, dude, I'm getting roasted even on set. This is horrible. Okay, anyways, actually, on that note, I'm just gonna play the Jack Mallers versus Peter Schiff debate. It was this old; it's a couple of months old, but again, as we are seeing kind of this currency war, if you want to call it, this money war playing out right now, and gold's ripping. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are sitting there, they're still gold bugs, and like, why would I buy this Bitcoin thing? It like, I like gold, I can hold gold, et cetera, all the excuses. And I just wanted to dust this one off the shelf because it's a classic.
The real problem with gold is that, unfortunately, it has to centralize. The problem is that gold can't achieve transaction finality without the help of a government or a central party, meaning that when gold was operating in a local economy and you can exchange the physical coins with your direct counterpart for your butcher, your local tailor, your grocer, whoever you were exchanging with, gold was great. When the world needed to scale an economy and the velocity of money larger than your local economy, gold failed us. Gold failed us because gold is just a bare physical metal. It does not carry a monetary network. What's the gold network? The gold network are human beings. And when you're trying to transact in an economy of billions of people globally, you are reliant on central parties, banks, governments. And it was for that reason that gold failed. And it failed in a way that you can't operate a truly free market when the concentrated supply is with those that you have to trust. And so that's fundamentally what Bitcoin solved, is that you are able to create a scarce bearer instrument and a network that can achieve finality in transactional settlement without the reliance on any government or central party. So that, I think, is extremely, that's really the core issue of why gold's been demonetized since. I think on the points of Bitcoin, like needing more history and it's young, I mean, I think that sounds like a personal problem for you, Peter. Like that, I think you need more evidence. And that's you being slow to recognize reality, right? Like if you were to need the internet to prove that email is better than traditional mail, you would just be late to adopting better technology. That doesn't sound like, that's not a point or a criticism against the properties that Bitcoin has. That's your own personal bias of how much proof that you need to adopt something that might be superior. So that's on you. And the last thing I will say on Bitcoin's volatility, for the listeners, I really think it's an important fundamental point. Risk is not the same thing as volatility. Risk refers to the probability of a permanent loss of capital. Risk would be that the Bitcoin code or the Bitcoin network outright fails. You can make an argument that Bitcoin's actually the least risky asset ever because it's the only asset you can store in your head. Bitcoin is, however, extremely volatile. And I will admit that, but that's a pro. Volatility is the frequency or like the magnitude of which the price fluctuates. And so Bitcoin, hold on. I'm almost done. I promise, 30 seconds. The point here, David, is that Bitcoin has to be volatile because the asset is inelastic. Because the asset cannot, with more demand in Bitcoin, you cannot make more supply. More demand has to fundamentally be a higher price. Whereas for all other commodities and all other assets, with more supply, you can make more demand, which makes them less volatile, but also makes them, I mean, I just went over the returns in the data, which also makes the returns not nearly what we're seeing in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin volatility is baked into the system because it's a fixed asset. So as it becomes adopted as a money globally, volatility is implied, but volatility is also the only reason that Bitcoin's averaging 100% year over year growth over the last decade and gold's at 2%. So, and volatility is not risk. Because Bitcoin's volatile, it doesn't make it risky. It makes it an opportunity.
Yeah, Jack Cook, Peter Schiff, and everyone's in the chat. Why they call him David? If you saw at the end, there was a moderator in that. But anyways, I mean, look, at this point, it's kind of like when you talk to your parents about like a new technology, and they're like having trouble dealing with it, and you're like getting frustrated trying to teach them how to use this new feature, and you're like, it's not that hard. That's kind of how I think of boomers and gold bugs these days. It's like, okay, I get it, old dogs can't be taught new tricks, et cetera, but Bitcoin is just better. And
I think it's so endearing, and I actually love it when I get to teach my boomer friends and family about Bitcoin, because it's I don't. But I was just trying to say it's not just my family, but whatever, dox me. When I tell my family, specifically, my parents and whatever, and I teach them about this stuff and I tell them how it works, I actually find it really endearing, and I like that they want to learn, or at least some are open to learn.
Yeah, I'm open to people that are open to the idea of Bitcoin. And I actually get a lot of shit on the show because I do despair boomers a lot. And I love the Bitcoin boomers. And everyone's always like, Opti hates boomers. I'm like, no, I don't.
We just hate the boomers that were in power that created this situation. Like, let's be real specific here.
Exactly. But look, my dad's a boomer, dude. I love him, and he's also a gold bug. I was actually talking to him the other day about his gold going up, and he was so hyped. I wasn't gonna be like, gold's trash, like buy Bitcoin. I was like, I'm happy for you, Dad. Like, good. It took 20 years or something, but hey, man, more power to you. But yeah, don't need to really rehash what Jack Mallers said. Jack Mallers said it perfectly. But I do want to connect this with a tweet from our boy G Money. It's not a crazy one, guys. It's actually a very tame tweet here. But I think added to what Jack Mallers was saying, this is another feature that many people don't understand in regards to the conversation between gold and Bitcoin. And he's actually using a River Financial chart here, and he goes, government institutions own most of the supply of gold, whereas individuals own most of the supply of Bitcoin. If governments hold all the gold and it goes to zero against Bitcoin, what do you think happens? Logical thinking. And the chart here is, again, Bitcoin versus gold distribution.
This is what I was trying to say earlier, and you made
Sorry,
me feel
I wasn't
like
listening.
I was like, there's a reason that the government isn't accumulating just gold, like any gold, right? Oh, they already have a ton of gold. We have the most gold in the world. We don't know that. China just discovered a bunch of gold. Whatever. I'm just gonna.
Soap's triggered.
I am. I'm triggered.
Triggered by Opti not listening. Anyways, for the audio listeners, it's side by side, like bar graph, and we have what is this? Bitcoin's distribution, and it goes 8.68% in institutions and businesses, 89% in households or in self-custody, and 2.32% in government holdings. And then when you compare that to gold's distribution, you have 54.99% held by institutions and businesses, a minimum. I don't know what this is. So it says max 54.99%. So the max that institutions and businesses hold is around 55%. The minimum here, I don't know what that really means. Anyways, the amount of Bitcoin held by gold held by households is 29.49%. And then about 15.5% held by government. And I think this is one of those kind of defining factors of Bitcoin, Bitcoin's kind of immaculate launch, and the fact that it took 15 years to get to this point, and the fact that it happened on the free market, and it was basically being pushed by evangelists. This is why we love Bitcoin so much, is because it is held mainly by individuals like you and I. And so it is this grassroots movement. Whereas with gold, yes, there's a significant amount of people and households holding holding gold. Sorry, I keep mixing them up. But the majority of gold is being held by institutions and government. And therefore, it's really not the people's money, as we like to call Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is. It's not even that we like to call it that. It just is. It is the people's money. This is being driven by individuals like you and I. 89% of all of the Bitcoin that has been created up to this day is held in self-custody. Even with the crazy amounts of institutional buys, the crazy amounts of, government stacking, if you could even call it that, the majority of Bitcoin is held by individuals. And this is the fundamental power struggle right now. This is why I keep kind of leaning into the idea that ETFs and institutions acquiring Bitcoin and nation states acquiring Bitcoin really should be called captured Bitcoin. The main utility of Bitcoin, in my opinion, is you being able to hold that Bitcoin in self-custody without a middleman. Like it says in the white paper, you need to hold your Bitcoin. You need to hold the keys. This is how you ensure that whatever crazy stuff happens from here on out, you don't get rug pulled, you don't get wrecked, you control that Bitcoin. So I thought that was a good little addition.
A lot of problems in your life would be solved if you just took self-custody of Bitcoin. Is kind of,
well, also new problems would probably arise, but hey, more money, more problems.
I mean, really though, not really, because you could choose to just not say anything. Speech is a choice.
Don't be like us and make a YouTube channel and build your whole life around it. Stay anon, stay anon.
Yeah, if you're anon and you just have Bitcoin in self-custody, I promise a lot of your problems would solve themselves. Future problems, past problems, current problems, even problems outside of finance, believe it or not. So
Bitcoin fixes problems. Bitcoin fixes problems. Bitcoin in self-custody fixes all life's problems. Well, maybe not all, but most.
A lot of them.
Most of them. All right, guys. Anyways, let's jump into the news. I'm going to actually speed run a lot of this stuff because there is kind of an interesting breaking news story that I literally added as we're on the show, but I really want to cover everything else. So we'll be right back after the commercial break, and I'm going to speed run through all of this stuff so they can get the information, and then we'll chat about it at the end.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and Cash App. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
All right, guys, since you don't like that Nico's yelling at you, I just wanted to tell you about our new sponsor, BitKey. You should totally buy this amazing hardware wallet that is super easy to use. Even your grandma can use it. Scan the QR code below for 20% off.
That was good. That was good. Some simply whispers.
We needed to turn down the temperature a little bit.
Honestly, my cortisol was spiking while he was yelling at me too. Anyways, I'm gonna speed run through this because I'm smashing a lot in here. So first off, our partner Hive just announced that their targets to the 35 exahashes in 2026 with newly signed 100 megawatt hydroelectric expansion in Paraguay and a 5x growth in HPC and AI operations through strategic partnerships with Bell Canada. Man, they're doing incredible work. And I was really going to I think we've been sneak peeking it, but we just did do a documentary with them about this dam, and I think it's almost out for you guys. I think you're going to really enjoy that.
We saw a sneak peek.
Yeah, I saw a sneak peek yesterday.
Sick.
Yeah, shouts out to the Zemo team. They did an incredible job. Anyways, okay, moving forward. Arkham has been showing a couple of movements here, some on-chain movements. The first one is their question. This was yesterday at noon. Is Bhutan selling Bitcoin? Bhutan, the kingdom of Bhutan, of course, tiny kingdom country, tiny kingdom. Through. Is that
the place where you don't need money?
No. They got exposed for mining Bitcoin for years, and they're like a tiny country, and they acquired a lot of Bitcoin. But anyways, they're basically the true second Bitcoin country in the world was the Kingdom of Bhutan. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Anyways, it goes. Bhutan has just moved $13 million of Bitcoin into a new wallet using a different wallet structure. The last two times Bhutan likely sold Bitcoin, they moved 109 million Bitcoin in September and 59 million Bitcoin in August to separate addresses before transferring it to Kobo/Binance. Are they getting ready to sell this time as well? So hey, I can't really blame Bhutan for kind of cashing in on some of those gains, but we saw some interesting movements from them. And then the next one that is really getting everyone kind of in a panic here, and we really don't know what is going on. All we know is the on-chain data that it's being moved. SpaceX moved $250 million in Bitcoin. They just moved a total of 268.5 million Bitcoin. This involves them moving 90 and 10 Bitcoin to separate wallets, with the other 257.7 million remaining in SpaceX wallets. And what is SpaceX doing with that 100 Bitcoin? This is the kind of the one that we really don't know what they're doing with it. We can kind of speculate what the Kingdom of Bhutan is doing. They're probably locking in some gains here, but we have no idea what SpaceX is doing. Are they consolidating into a new wallet? Maybe they're updating their cold storage setup. Maybe, Elon Musk came out, said some nice things about Bitcoin, and then he's locking in these gains. Who knows? We have no clue what's going on. All we do know is they just moved $250 million of Bitcoin. I think a lot of people are panicking, and they're like trying to connect this to why the Bitcoin price went down. So speed running through it. I'm not going to play this whole clip. I'm going to just kind of take, TFTC's word here, but Fed Governor Waller, as I was telling you guys, yesterday, was that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. There is a payment innovation conference currently going on at the Fed. It's being streamed, and the opening remarks are very interesting. Remember, I was showing you guys what the talks are kind of titled and headline at this payments innovation conference. I was kind of, disparaging the fact that they're always talking about payments and cryptocurrencies and digital assets as payments and tokenized securities and all this nonsense outside of Bitcoin. But we did get this kind of interesting quote So from the opening remark, we had Fed Governor Waller say DLTs, or distributed ledger technology, aka what the politicians and the suits like to call Bitcoin. So DLTs and crypto assets are no longer on the fringes. They're now woven into the fabric of the financial system. Actually, let's see. Let me just play this since I didn't load it. Let's see. We'll hear a little bit and then
Good morning.
I'll stop it.
All right. Well, thank you, Susan, and good morning to everyone.
Are you guys hearing this?
It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Federal Reserve Board.
Well, we're
for our
hearing it.
first Payments Innovation Conference.
One.
My objective in creating this conference is twofold. First, I wanted to have a conference that focused on the new technologies that have come from the DeFi and crypto worlds and how they are entering into the mainstream payments ecosystem. My goal is to have a vibrant discussion about payments between traditional payment incumbents and the new entrants from the DeFi world. Second, I wanted to send a message that this is a new era for the Federal Reserve in payments. The DeFi industry is not viewed with suspicion or scorn. Rather, today, you are welcome to the conversation on the future of payments in the United States and on our home field, something that would have been unimaginable a few years ago. My view for the Fed from now on is embrace the disruption, don't avoid it. As you know, we are well into a technology-driven revolution in payments, and I'm here to say that the Federal Reserve intends to be an active part of that revolution. A number of technological advances are transforming the payment system. Stablecoins and tokenized assets, making use of distributed ledger technology, the rapid adoption of artificial intelligence AI, and increasingly the convergence between these innovations and the traditional financial ecosystem. This includes the institutions and infrastructure that our economy has long depended on to operate a safe and efficient payment system. And yes, this also includes the Federal Reserve. The revolution in transforming payments is demanding change everywhere. And I will say more in a moment about some new ideas that the Federal Reserve is studying to support those innovations. I have spoken before of what I see as the two broad models of payments innovation in our market economy. The first is private sector-driven innovation. Most innovation comes from the private sector, which is motivated and best positioned to allocate resources and take risk with new technologies. The second model is when public sector entities, such as the Fed, build platforms and provide services that enable the private sector to more readily and rapidly expand new services to its customers. This should be done rarely and in limited circumstances where it addresses a specific market need. The posture of public institutions, including the Federal Reserve, should be to acknowledge and embrace private sector innovation that can improve the payment system while preserving its safety and stability, which are as essential to the new generation of innovators as they are to legacy institutions. Now let me pull back a moment and remind everyone how we got here. Since nearly its founding, the Federal Reserve System has worked to facilitate payment and settlement system efficiency alongside the private sector. From the beginning, the clearing services provided by the reserve banks obviated the need for daily movements of cash in armored cars with heavily armed guards. Long before we started speaking of the payment rails that are facilitating the kind of innovation we're discussing today, the Fed was running trains on steel rails to deliver and clear paper checks traveling across the country. FedWire began conducting interbank transfers through telegraph wires in the early 20th century. Fast forward today, where we have multiple infrastructures that settle interbank transfers in real time. Today's conference will focus on private sector-driven innovation. We have assembled 100 private sector innovators who are leveraging cutting-edge technology to create new possibilities in the payments landscape. Our panelists are engaging in integrating traditional financial payment rails with distributed ledgers, developing new products and services in the digital asset ecosystem, and leveraging AI in the payment system. It's worth noting that the firms engaged in these activities include banks, asset managers, retail payment firms, technology companies, as well as crypto-native fintechs. This is an acknowledgement that distributed ledgers and crypto assets are no longer on the fringes, but are increasingly woven into the fabric of the payment and financial system. Now,
okay, all right, well, I don't know.
It's kind of a nothing burger. It's kind of giving me nothing. I'm disappointed in you, sir.
I'm not surprised at all.
I'm not surprised that the Fed governor is disappointing us. So, whatever, same thing, different day, I guess.
I mean, but guys, did this not literally confirm exactly what I said yesterday when I just read the headlines of what is going on? They're like, yeah, we got to update the payment system. We got to use distributed ledger technology and blockchain. Hey, look, I guess we got to the stage where the Fed is using buzzwords, but This is just reminding me of the the meme like, hey fellow children, like I'm here to join the fun. Okay, all right, we still got a long ways to go here in regards to
I thought we were gonna talk about changing the world and stuff
nah,
today.
just payments,
Nope.
man. We're here to just change payments.
Who's gonna tell him that Bitcoin already fixed this? Who's gonna tell him?
Yeah, well, hey, Ron, shouts out Ron P in the chat. He goes, what he said is exactly what pushed the price to 114 grand today. So yeah, there's hey man, dude, if they start talking positively and the price goes up, I guess I'm all for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's the thing. It's like, it's not even, I mean, do people perceive this as a positive comment?
I mean, I guess the people that still have faith in the system are like, yeah, they're embracing new technology. They're updating their payment system. This is great. Bitcoin is gonna win.
No, to be honest, everything I got from that is they're coming for your Bitcoin and they're gonna make a CBDC. Like that's essentially what I got from those comments.
Yeah.
All this tokenization, stable coin, yada yada yada. Like, what does that do for you and me? What does that do for the common person who can't afford a home right now, who's drowning in inflation? It does absolutely nothing. That's what it does. They're saying they're quote unquote moving away from treasuries, but what backs up these stable coins? Opti?
I could back it up. I'm in the gym. I'm getting cooked in the gym by Sal.
No, it was like, that was me like handing you the microphone.
Oh, I thought you said I am backing him up.
No, no, bro. Like, answer the question. Nothing.
What? Yeah, nothing.
The answer is nothing.
Yeah. Hey, they got to get in the 21st century here, and they got to update their payments. Man, it's literally like clockwork. When you understand how they want to control the narrative, you can pretty much predict what they're going to say. Though that one line of them kind of saying they can't ignore this anymore. And so I think that is kind of the signal here. They obviously cannot ignore what's going on in Bitcoin any longer. We were basically a $2.5 trillion asset. Everyone and their mother is getting into Bitcoin. All the big boys are in Bitcoin. The president is in Bitcoin of the United States. The second, or maybe the real president, Larry Fink, is in Bitcoin.
The president's a whale. Don't forget that Donald Trump was recently reported to be one of Bitcoin's biggest whales.
Yeah. So
and there's rumors that Barron is doing some stuff here and there. So I'm not even going to talk about that.
Yo, Barron's kind of the goat.
Yeah, but we don't
Barron's
know.
got aura.
Oh, yeah, he does. He's
6'8". His mother's a supermodel. Your dad's the billionaire president.
Yeah,
you're 19.
The kid's gonna go far.
You're 19 and you're already worth 150 million. Like, yo, Barron, when can Barron run for president? Okay, anyways.
And you told me to censor myself.
That's not crazy.
Okay?
I'm not saying anything crazy. Yeah, that wasn't crazy. That was vanilla. That's vanilla.
Allowed.
Yeah, that's totally loud. Anyways, let's wrap this show. We'll be right back in a little bit.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIve Digital Technology. Why HIve in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIve Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank, and you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys. Tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth, and join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io. Join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
Yeah, the chat. You go. Oh man, I guess I really kicked a hornet's nest with. All right. Anyways, let's get to. So, guys, if you were here yesterday, you guys know we were having some issues with our streaming platform, and I had to literally last minute stream through OBS, and you know, that's open source software, and that was what was capable of keeping the show going yesterday. And even YouTube was acting up, like our Slack was acting up. Basically, like half of the internet was broken yesterday, and it was because of AWS being down. And if you don't know what AWS, it is Amazon Web Services, and it's basically like cloud computing that basically everything uses. It was like no joke, half of the internet was down yesterday because AWS was down. I know when I think they were still figuring it out, and I went home and I was like, all right, I'm cooking some food, and I wanted to stream something while I was cooking some lunch, and it wasn't working for 5-10 minutes, and then it finally came up. Anyways, here is kind of the breakdown of it, and I'll show you some of the company. So Amazon Web Services, a massive AWS outage early yesterday morning sent major websites and apps down for several hours. Tracking site Down Detector has received over 8 million reports around the globe. Dude, literally half the internet was down. I forget who it was, but I know Rustin was telling me that he was at the school that his wife was working at, and he's like, dude, the school wasn't working. Bryson, our Twitter guy, he was telling us that at school that he was at, because he's still in college, he won't we haven't convinced him to quit yet. He's like, dude, literally there's no school right now because everything is using AWS. So no joke, half the internet was down yesterday because of this AWS outage. And you can see some of the big companies: Snapchat, of course, Amazon, Venmo, Instacart, Reddit, Boost, Pinterest, Robinhood, FanDuel. I know you guys trying to gamble yesterday. It wasn't working. Ring, Apple Music, AT&T, New York Times, T-Mobile, Zoom, Microsoft, Adobe Cloud. Actually, it was working for me yesterday, but our Slack was having trouble. Our streaming software wasn't working yesterday, and literally, I didn't even think about it afterwards, but open source software literally saved us yesterday. So
Yes.
that was the only thing
Yes.
that literally saved us to keep the show going, which is really the best segue into this tweet here by Cameron Winklevoss. And he goes, one company, Amazon, is down, so the internet is down. This illustrates the importance of decentralization. I would add open source software. Whether you're talking about internet, apps, or money, it is crucial. And this is kind of what we are seeing right now, where as we are in this, as Nico likes to call it, the disintermediation of information, the disintermediation of media, we're entering, or as Balaji's been talking about for a while, this idea of moving from a centralized world to a decentralized world, or the state versus the network. You're seeing that these kind of scenarios happen far too often. The internet as we know it, and our money, of course, the Fed, the central banks around the world control Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is open source software, and it's a network. It's run by every single one of us. It's decentralized. There's actual meaning to the word decentralized when we talk about it in Bitcoin. It was running, like obviously not all of the internet was down yesterday, but a huge portion of it was down yesterday because there was, you know, this single point of failure that is AWS and cloud computing. And literally we got saved by open source software yesterday to stream to you guys a show. But this is just highlighting a lot of what's going on right now. We are moving from a centralized world to a more decentralized world. And that does bring a lot of chaos to it. And that does bring a lot of uncertainty and really like no idea where we are going. But you know, decentralized money, open source software, it's here for us and it's saving the day. So, you know, W2OBS
might just be
something that's
solution.
catching on.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I saw someone who's like an altcoin account or whatever tweet like came across my timeline. Like basically every altcoin is on AWS. And I was like, yeah. Homie, like that like, are you getting it now? Do you understand?
Yeah, exactly. So ETH was down, Solana was down.
That's why it doesn't work. People are like, but it pumps so much more than Bitcoin. It's like, first of all, that's not true. And second of all, that like it doesn't work long term. There will never be global adoption of these altcoins. You are literally just gambling your money away.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm dude, messing things up over here. It sounds like SB should use a decentralized network. Guys, we are, well, we're not. There's no decentralized YouTube, or
Yeah,
I mean, we're on Rumble.
Maybe we just have to
we try to
diversify.
we try to diversify our, you know, our streaming platforms. I know that's not decentralization per se, but like what, BitChute or something? Don't they have a shitcoin? It's just like, hey, look, I don't think we're necessarily moving to a world that is completely decentralized. I don't think everything needs to quote unquote be decentralized. I don't think we need decentralized
Not
apps.
everything needs a blockchain.
Yeah, exactly. But we are moving towards a world where you do have the option to do that. And I do believe there should be, you know, some sorts of decentralization, because as we've seen with our money, with the internet, with our information, a lot of these things have become centralized, and they are honeypots, and they are single points of failure. Now, does that mean everything needs it? Like, is that a decentralize all the things? Like, no. But as we're seeing, there's very real kind of problems to the centralized world that we live in. You know, all our information in one area, the internet basically all being run on AWS, obviously centralized money and a small group of people controlling your money. Like, there is a real need for decentralization, and it's happening in real time. And, you know, like I was saying, it's just shouts out. Yeah. And of course, Bitcoin needs to be decentralized. Like, I don't think I need to say that, you know, to point out the obvious. But
isn't that the theory in the sovereign individual, that eventually, you know, most important things anyway will be decentralized, and we will all kind of have to compete in, you know, this market to see which one is the best form of decentralization? Or
yeah, I mean, it's really more that could be part. I haven't read the sovereign individual in a couple of years, but I usually take it more as like the main thesis is this idea that, like, as a sovereign individual, you will move to, you know, a place that is more favorable to you. But I'm pretty sure there is some decentralized, like, you know, decentralize all the things in there. But
I think that's the only way that people can truly become sovereign, right? Because if you're decentralized, then you're not depending on like a single point of failure in one person to control everything that you're using. Because, you know, we've already decentralized the two most important things, which is money and information. And the information part, we're still seeing the ramifications of that. So, and both have afforded people true wealth and sovereignty. So I think it kind of does fit in there.
yeah, I think maybe I need to rehash my sovereign individual. I haven't read it in a while, but
It's just my analysis. I mean, I could be wrong.
wait, what do you say? I'm just a girl.
I'm just
I don't know.
I'm just a girl.
Though with this conversation, it does bring up the idea of, like, even though we are moving towards a decentralized world, I don't necessarily think that like like I was saying, everything needs to be decentralized. I think there is, some use case to some things being centralized, and like I want to say control, but that's not the right word, and everyone's going to freak out at me when I say that. But like there is some use cases for, like certain corporations and stuff, you doing things the best, and like everything doesn't need to be decentralized. Though I am hearing my boys over at the Bugle basically say, the UX, what do they always say? Like, the UX won't be good for the revolution or something like that. And that's kind of where I'm going. Like a lot of decentralized apps aren't really that good. I like the theory and the promise of them, but they just don't beat the quickness and the stability of some centralized things. So I'm kind of, I think, in the middle of like, I think there will be this world where there is a lot of decentralized possibilities, but they're also, will be in symbiotic with the centralized kind of.
At the very least, I think decentralization plays like this wall, right? Between like what you can personally protect in terms of like intellect and wealth, and then the centralized stuff is like what you can use out like to have your convenience or whatever. But like the base layer of society
100%.
will
That's kind of
become
what I was
like
saying.
decentralized itself. So I agree with you. It is kind of like this mix, and the mix will be that we'll be able to keep some the centralized things will have to depend on the veracity of the decentralized things.
Okay. Wow. Sophie's using
Wisdom.
multi-syllable words on the show today. At least you're not saying crazy things today. She's upped her vocabulary.
You're baiting
today.
me, bro. Now I want to say something.
No, you're muted. You're muted. She's done. We have finished the show. I do not want to go back and edit stuff today. Anyways, guys, that's the show for today. The internet's working, Restream's working back on us. So we'll be back tomorrow, probably around 12:30-ish. You guys can blame Sophie for the really late times this week.
This is true. I had to do my hair yesterday. Today I didn't have to do my hair, so that was a time saver.
Yeah, so it's not my fault, guys. I'm not the one pushing back the time. It's her fault. Okay.
It takes a long time to look semi-decent for the great audience.
Big brain Sophie.
Of Simply Bitcoin.
Yeah. Look, it's not Latino time. It's Latina time. That's what we're on. Blame her. It's her fault. Okay, guys. Anyways, we will be back tomorrow. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. And of course, pick up some of the new merch. I'm rocking it. Go to simplybitcoin.com, /merch. And we'll be back tomorrow, man. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for trolling me in the chat. It means the world to me. And we'll be back tomorrow for another show of Simply Bitcoin Live.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.